Okay, I don't know where to begin, so I'm just going to begin. Uh, IDS 301, it's going on module 5 already. Wow. Um, so what do we got? Today's Sunday, February 6th. I still test positive for COVID, and I felt better, but I probably felt worse. Anyhow, let's get her rolling here. Module 5. Actually, just a heads up, Module 4 Q&A, of course, is due tonight. I think that's the Do You See What I See Q&A with 7 questions. Please do double line spacing, Times New Roman, 12-point font. You don't know how much that helps me to get through these papers clearly and with comprehension. Module 5, chapters 6, 7, and 8. There's some really good ones. And as I've mentioned before, I do reread these constantly every semester, every session. And, just to take a look at them and give you a heads up, what I like about these chapters especially is chapter 6 goes into a general discourse on basic research methods. Okay, so you're going to get introduced to a lot of these if you haven't been already, and parts of research like the research question, the literature review, and then you've got descriptive research, inductive research, exploratory research, explanatory research, blah, blah, blah. There's also ethnographic research. There is a whole bunch of it. In fact, I've got a book right over here somewhere. I'm not going to get it this time, but it's the book that was originally used for IDS 302, and it is very extensive, and it's just all research. It's big, it's thick, and it's just all different research methods. It's very interesting because research is the backbone of academics, and as a research university, we pride ourselves on being continuing to move the needle in terms of knowledge, and that's what research does. It adds to the existing body of knowledge in a particular field or area. So this chapter is talking about the general look at research. Now, there's two main different types. There's 3 if you count the mixed, but there's the methodology. It's quantitative or qualitative. Two different. That's a main difference between research. Quantitative deals with quantities, quantifying. So it's a lot of numbers, it's statistics, it's measurements. That's quantitative research. Qualitative research, on the other hand, is about quality. It's about qualifying. So it would be more basically interview based, observing based, but there has to be a code, a research code of that you have to develop, and a meaning horizon, and there's these different terminologies for qualitative. So it's not just as simple as I'm going to watch something, then I'm going to tell you what I see, and that's research. No, you've got to have a little more structure to it. But these are the main types of research, and it's important to know that as you gain context in what's going on in the world of academia. So take a look at chapter 6. You'll see some things. Yeah, a validity horizon for qualitative. You got research goals, quantitative research design. That's important. And then qualitative research experiments, qualitative methods, which include phenomenology, existential phenomenology, and different types of things. Ethnography. I love qualitative research, to be honest with you, and I've done some of that myself. Then has to do with ethics in research. It's a very important aspect. And if you take 302 with me, we're going to take a quick look at ethics in a more specific way. All right. Chapter 7, then, as we move from the general research basics to introduction to interdisciplinary research, you'll find things that are more specific to interdisciplinary research. As you can see, I highlighted a whole slew of things here. But interdisciplinary research is to study a topic or question that is inherently complex, whose parts are the focus of 2 or more disciplines, integrate their insights, and construct a more comprehensive understanding of the topic or question. So understand this. Interdisciplinary research has to be complex, a complex topic. It's inherent to the problem. A complex problem is inherent to interdisciplinary studies, interdisciplinary research, integrative research. You can't do integrative research on a very simple type of research question. Okay. They're talking here about working in teams, which is how interdisciplinary research is often completed. It adds difficulty for various reasons, but whenever you see this, I want you to make sure that you understand that as you're in interdisciplinary studies and you have two concentrations, yes, you've chose those and the goal is to be able to integrate, but it's also the bigger picture is what will you do with this knowledge about being interdisciplinary? What does it mean? How do you see the world? How do you see your career? How do you see problems that come into your sphere and to resolve in a intellectual academic manner? And that means if you're working with a group, it can be an interdisciplinary group where we've talked about that, different occupations that represent different disciplines, and it's the disciplines that's primary in interdisciplinary studies. Okay, so you've got these are very big concepts here: idea dominance, need for achievement, peer recognition, psychological traits. All these are conditions for successful interdisciplinary research. Now, you're also going to talk about a cognitive map. And remember, we have maps we're doing, right? And so that's important. Take a look at that. I want you to understand that. I'm not going to go through that with a big lecture here because you're reading this, right? And it talks about different steps involved. And then the fourth step in the process, okay, identify conflicts and connections between the disciplinary insights. This is so important, okay? And then you find common ground, you find conflict, common ground integrator. Then there's conditions for integration. Very, very important, because remember, IDS equals integration, right? Okay, so mapping the problem. There's another map again. This is different than a cognitive map. This is mapping the problem. And it goes into specifics how to do that. So when it comes to what is interdisciplinary studies and what does it look like, here's where you're getting a lot of answers, okay? Now, what's important here, okay, there's annotated bibliography, there's some steps here. Okay, chapter 6 and 7. Now, I want to reach back because you're going to see this later on in this module is different models of integrative research, of integration, of interdisciplinary research by the big name players in the field. So you've got REPCOs. You're going to see REPCOs, 10 steps. You're going to see Newell's steps. You're going to see Klein's steps, Julian Klein, Newell, REPCO, and you want to look at those and you'll see how it's a step-by-step process, and they all have similar attributes. Some of them are better suited than others depending on what the problem or research is. So what Tanner did then, our Tanner, and it's on the bottom of page 34, I believe, is Tanner designed his own model, 5 steps, Tanner's 5 steps. I use that in IDS 302. That's why we use the same book. So we use Tanner's 5 steps to actually perform interdisciplinary research in 302. We apply what we learn about integration, interdisciplinary. Tanner's 5 steps are important, and they fit in a class like this really well, or in 302, I should say. We're going to get a little taste of that in this module, as a matter of fact, and we'll show you. Now, chapter 8, methods of integration. Very important again, because this is where you're getting this knowledge about what this is that we're doing. So knowledge transfer is important, okay? And you've got near transfer, far transfer, mechanisms of transfer. So there's different ways that we look at these things that are analogous to interdisciplinary. And I've got some examples. If we were doing a classroom here, I'd lecture on this for quite a bit, but I'm not going to take up too much of your time on all this. You can read it, and I want you to read it. And if you have trouble with any of it, any of the concepts, please let me know. You'll have a chance to show your skill set on this and application through the quiz, especially, okay, which is all about chapter 6, 7, and 8. He talks about working with people here, backwards reaching transfer, forward reaching transfer, hugging, bridging, very important stuff. And I love chapter 6, 7, and 8 in terms of value, bang for your buck in this field, all right? let's do Easter egg number one here at 10-minute mark. Ooh. Um, these are all going to have kind of a common thread theme. So Easter egg number one is important. Capitalize the disciplines. I still see some people having trouble with that. Some people are capitalizing random occupations. They're not disciplines. Again, engineering is a discipline. Engineers is not discipline, is not a capital discipline, proper noun. Okay. So remember that you're just capitalizing the disciplines here: mathematics and dentistry and business and sustainability. You're not capitalizing occupations: politician, okay, rabbi, businessman, those kind of things. Remember that. All right. So we talked about those models that you're going to see here. I have them posted for you in Canvas. Then there's some supplemental materials that I'm not going to require of you. It's good reading. It's great. And we have required in the past, but I'm going to ask you and just recommend that you download and save these to your, folder on your drive so you can refer to these things. It's important to take the knowledge with you, get your value from your education. So the supplemental material is good stuff. I think it's Julie Klein's final chapter of one of her books. And then it is also, Newell's Theory of Interdisciplinary Studies, Chef's Kiss. Good stuff. Good stuff. Then you've got a discussion. Let's see. Well, should I just jump in and give you Easter egg number two right away? Easter egg number two, important. Use paragraph/line breaks. I'm talking about when you're writing papers, use paragraph indents. When you're doing discussion boards, use a line break. I deduct points, probably 10% for anybody who just posts one single large post in a discussion board. I do that in all my classes, not just all. You need to organize your writing, their thinking, and understand about how to do it. And because paragraph indents are a pain in the butt, discussion board, you can use a line break, okay? So let's look at the discussion board 5, gorgeous networks. I'm sure you're going to like this. I always get rave reviews on it. This is so fascinating because it is. It's really cool. Take a look at it. It's pretty self-explanatory, the links. Let me just make sure it still works. It sure does. It's from 2015, but, excuse me, there's the yawn. But I think you're going to be fascinated by the imagery here of all these different networks. It's a way to visualize particular themes and concepts and areas, right? And then you want to watch, though, the TED Talk by Manuel Lima. And that's about 12 minutes long. It's an excellent TED Talk that he talks about these visuals, okay? And then you're going to write about what caught your attention, something he said in his talk, and at least one of his visuals, and explain why each of those items caught your attention. Then turn to one of your concentration areas. In your opinion, is the knowledge centralized or decentralized in that area today, and why do you say that? Okay, and then you can reply to two of your peers. I think this is really a great module. I really enjoy this. Okay, let's go next now. Next, you got a quiz that the discussion boards due Thursday. Remember, no late responses accepted. Peer responses accepted. Thursday, I think that's actually Friday, right? Saturday is the quiz. That's the 12th. It's on chapter 6, 7, and 8. There are no trick questions. It's true and false and multiple choice. And then you've got one of my favorites, because I invented this one, the Q&A, North Dakota's Norway Experiment. Now, from, I think it's Mother Jones magazine or something, North Dakota's Norway Experiment. Let me just make sure it worked. Yep. Okay, is a great feature article. It's about 5 years old, but it's certainly pertinent. And it talks about the North Dakota prison system. Now, again, there's no political aspect to this. I've been in corrections. I was a sergeant, okay? But it's fascinating because we're talking about the North Dakota prison system. At that time, I don't know if it's still the same, the chief, Leanne Birch, met one of her deputies, Carrie Ann Jackson, for a drink at a bar in Norway. They had just gone through a tour of Norway, Oslo, Norway's jail system. And it's fascinating. And you'll be able to look at this and read this and then discuss in 5 questions, again, number them and answer those questions. But you'll do these also. You're going to do this in steps. These are Tanner's steps, okay? So you're going to follow Tanner's steps. Very rudimentary, though. It's not an involved piece of research. So you're going to, because as I wrote here, steps 3, 4, and 5 will not be as comprehensive as you would if you were really doing it for real. But it gives you a sense of how these steps go, okay? And I'd really like you to take a look at that. And that's going to be due next Sunday night. So I think the last thing I want to remind you about is the maps. Okay, the maps are coming up fast. Don't procrastinate, as we've talked about. You'll get what you give on this probably. Okay, if you have questions about it, let me know. Follow the templates I provided and go with that. Other than that, again, stay in communication. So Easter egg number 3 is important. Use a form of integration. Okay, most of you are. It's just kind of a reminder, but you can continue to use a form of integration. That means integrate, integrating, integration. Again, you can't overuse it. If you start sliding off and going other places, I want you to know that integration is the key right there, because it's so easy to think of integration right there. If they say synthesizing or combining or all this stuff, go with integration, right? Okay, that'll do it for me here. I hope you're all doing well and keep in touch as you have been. All right, so forks up, peace.